7 is called Wizard Encampment. The animals flitted through the maze of the dark forest for what seemed like hours. Wish saw and Bodkin crossed the frozen river and the broken ghost wall that marked the end of warrior territory and the beginning of the land of the wizards, and eventually they reached a part of the wood that was so tangled and mangled with briars and fallen trees and vines that it was impossible to carry on. The moon came out from behind the clouds, and Azar got Ariel to point at the barbed mountain of choking vegetation in front of them. In front of Wish and Bodkin's astonished eyes, the brambles and the branches slid out and through and over each other as if invisible fingers were unravelling a complicated knot from a fishing line. With a creak like the bending of ancient knees, the trees swayed and bent to left and right, and the vegetation flattened so that a clearing lay in front of them. The hairs stood up on the back of Wish and Bodkin's necks as the quills might rise on a thorny hedgehog when they saw what lay inside the clearing. A truly gigantic circle of ancient trees, most of them giants. Yew, birch, rowan, alder, willow, ash, hawthorn, elder, apple, poplar, every species you could imagine. The most important being the oak, of course. No sign of any human habitation, but a sound of music and a smell of chimney smoke. Now that they were so far away from home and so deep in enemy territory, Wish was beginning to feel very, very frightened. What if Zar held them to ransom? Zar had said he would let them go the next morning, but Zar didn't seem very trustworthy so far. "Where's your fort?" said Wish shakily. "Underground," said Zar. "Imagine a camp that has been sunk underground." Each one of those gigantic trees was hollow and drew light down into the rooms hidden underneath. Zar led them to the tree tower which housed his room, a great ancient yew so wound round on itself that it looked as though in the tree's youth a giant had taken it gently by the topmost branches and twisted the trunk round in his hand as if the yew were a piece of clay. I love it. When you see trees like that, have a look out for trees like that. There are trees with twisted trunks like that. They climbed through a series of ladders and platforms and in through the window of Zar's room. Wish's heart sank even further. There was no way out now. They were stuck here, surrounded by enemies. What had Zar told the other wizards about her? What if there were wizards worse than Zar who really could magic you into a slow death? She felt a little bit sick. There was no ceiling in Zar's room, so above them was the night sky and the stars. The floor had such huge cracks in it that you could see right down into the main hall 40 feet below. "Don't worry," said Caliban reassuringly to the astonished Bodkin and Wish, watching Zar Australia across the floor that seemed to be made partly of air. "This floor is held together by magic." Zar opened his rucksack, a bit like my bookshelves there. You can see they're all held together by magic. Zar opened his rucksack and took out his spelling book to find the spell about turning people into worms. It was right beside the page that told you how to turn people into cats, easy, and cats back into people, trickier. First, Zar thought he would punish Luther by turning him into a worm using the witch magic. Then in a dramatic climax, he would draw the sword and show everyone how he could use magic that works on iron. And then, of course, they would all start clapping and cheering him, chanting his name. His own father would bow down before him, saying, "Zar, I'm so sorry I ever doubted you. I always knew you were something special." We all hope this is going to happen. "I always knew you were something special. I know we have had our misunderstandings in the past, but you are the hero we have all been waiting for." It was all going to be so satisfactory. Zar memorised the spell and slammed the book shut. "Come on, sprites," said Zar briskly. "The competition is going to start in a couple of minutes and we need to get down there so I can humiliate Luther. Everyone follow me except you, Forest Heart, Night Eye, King Cat, the Bear and Squeeze Juice." "Oh, why does I have to stay behind?" said Squeeze Juice. "Well, you seem to like the warriors so much," said Zar pointedly, for he had been feeling quite a little bit jealous. "You can stay here and guard them." "Don't you worry, boss. I shall protect them." "I didn't say protect them, Squeeze Juice. I said guard them. They're our prisoners." "But I did want to come with you and see you turned into a werewolf," said Squeeze Juice, very disappointed. "I'm sure I can see a few more hairs on his arms already," hissed Teffenstorm, eyes bright with malicious pleasure. "Oh, shut up, both of you," snapped Zar. "I'm not going to turn into a werewolf. This is witch blood and I'm going to use it to perform magic." "But you don't know if it will work yet," Caliban pointed out. "And shouldn't you find out what that stain is before you go in front of a whole load of other people and possibly turn into a werewolf in front of their eyes?" Tsar looked at him as if he was completely crazy, but that would mean waiting, Tsar pointed out. And the spelling competition is having right now. Anyway, even if the witch blood doesn't work, I know the sword works. You're not allowed to take swords into spelling competitions, Tsar, let alone iron ones, said Caliban. And it's our sword, protested Wish. I wish you'd stop saying that. This is a magic sword, said Tsar, so it belongs to me, and all your gloomy, what you give to the universe, the universe will give back to you stuff. Well, Caliban, all I can say is, by bringing this sword to me, the universe clearly thinks I'm pretty special. And the universe is right! Squeezed Juice. There was no talking to Tsar when he was in this kind of mood. The universe is really tipping it out now, said Caliban gloomily as big splatters of rain came down on their shoulders. Downstairs, in the main hall, the jubilant sound of dancing giants and happy voices could be heard. Upstairs, in the little room tangled with jungle vines, swaying in the wind, rocking like a boat on the sea, a heavy, drenching rain was now falling in Tsar's room. Why on earth would you design a room with no ceiling? Wondered Bodkin. It's not very practical. Tiffenstorm, said Tsar, do us a weather spell before we all drown, and you'll have to stay here to keep the spell up so the prisoners don't get wet. Tiffenstorm huffs crossly. Why is it always me who has to do everything? I wanted to see the spelling competition. Forsaki Lily looking in her wand bag and getting out a number 4 wand. She picked out a spell and batted it up into the air with a wand, and a nice little invisible umbrella of wind sprang out at the end of the spell, hovering some 4 feet above them, so the rain poured over the edges in a waterfall. Isn't that cool? Oh my goodness, that's incredible, marvelled Wish. Don't be impressed, warned Bodkin. Remember, magic may look attractive on the outside, but it is danger, it is chaos. You have to admit it's extremely useful if you don't want to get wet, though, said Tsar. A ceiling works quite well, too, said Bodkin. Tsar slammed the door and locked it. He's taken the sword with him, said Wish, very disappointed. We'll just have to wait till he comes back, and then we can steal the sword off him while he's asleep. OK, so say we do successfully manage to steal the sword off Tsar, said Bodkin. How do we get back to our fort? We can't walk back, it's miles away. Oh dear, Tsar was right, we're prisoners, said Wish, peering out of the window into the blackness of the night. It was a long way down to the bottom of the tower, and there was absolutely no sign of the giant or the pony, and I'm worried that Paul Crusher might have been captured by my mother's warriors. Paul Crusher? He's a giant, Wish, said Bodkin, very shocked. Whose side are you on? With a heavy sigh, Wish turned away from the window and picked up the spelling book that Tsar had carelessly left on the table. OK, tomorrow we're going to start looking at the spelling book, which is a very magical book indeed. It has over 1 million pages in it. I'll see that tomorrow.